Okay, after 25 years of developmental teaching, the grip is sometimes the last thing that people change because it really doesn't make sense to them. But in order for it to make sense, you have to really understand its cause and effect and its relationship to how it makes the ball go further and how it makes it go straighter. So a lot of times we can make a change in the body motion and or how the body works back and forth and the ball goes crooked, but as soon as we change the grip, it goes straight. But people don't want to learn the grip usually at first. Either way, we're just going to go through the grip here and start it out, give you some ideas of the cause and effect relationships, what are the common things that people struggle with, and how long would it take you to get comfortable with your grip. Even Harvey Penick took the time one time to give a lesson completely explaining how the feel of the golf swing was transferred through somebody's hands. And by getting the person to understand how the hands work, all of a sudden the rest of the body started working correctly. So it kind of goes to be said that the way you place your hands on a club can affect how your feet work. So that was a nice explanation of the way Harvey explained cause and effect, or taught somebody cause and effect, just through the grip itself and to help somebody's golf game. So let's get into the left-hand grip. We'll go through a lot of details in just the left hand. Then we'll switch it over to the right hand, and then we'll put the two hands together, and then we'll see how they help work together to help get you longer golf shots and straighter golf shots. All right, left hand. So common fault is we see that people will grip it like a hammer, long thumb, a lot straight down the finger line. So usually what we like to see in golf instruction, you'll see this done a lot, is half through the finger, half through the palm. You'll hear the left hand is explained with the muscular heel pad on top of the shaft. This has like a Hogan effect, or not a Hogan effect, but a drill that Hogan used to do in one of his books, where the heel pad is on top. You can balance the club on your index finger and through the heel pad of the left hand right through there. This allows you to really hinge the club. And what I mean by hinge is we'll see the angle of an L on the backswing right here. So the better the grip is, the better the wrist position can be going back, and the better the angle can be right here, and control how much that angle is. A lot of times if we have a grip that's too palmy, we can't get the club to set all the way because the wrist gets in a restricted position. So you'll see a lot of times somebody will take the club back and they'll lift it up from pulling within the elbow right here. And when we get it in the fingers, we can swing the club head back. It gets that club really light, and it creates this angle which L's, that 90-degree angle to a switch to a 90-degree angle, will create a lot of speed in the club head. All right. When you get palmy in there also, the club can't get in balance or get balanced on its end. We get a little bit more in the fingers. It can balance right up on the thumb. And that leads us to the thumb. How important is the thumb? So a lot of times I'll see a player, they'll have the thumb going down the left side, the right center, we like the right center, or they'll get a little strong. And there are players that play with strong grips that are very good, tour players. There are players that are weak-handed. We're just going to go for instructional basis, just more neutral down the right center. One of the things that really gets players off is the positioning of their thumb going diagonal across the shaft on either direction. So usually what we like to see is we want to crease this up a little bit here, get rid of all the air bubbles inside there, have that thumb go down the right center, and have a good relationship with the back of the club, or the club face, I should say. And also that wrist, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, is when we knuckle down or flatten the wrist as part of a grip through the swing, then that creates a stronger lofted face and a square face. Okay? So now, good grip in the fingers. We have a good L. We have a good rehinge. This also will help the plane and the face angle. And then as it releases through, it will also help the plane on the follow through. When we knuckle down, that arm will fold, and that'll help the club work back on plane on the follow through. Now that that left hand is in a really good position, we can talk about the right hand. So common faults of the right hand, same thing, we'll grip a little bit palmy. Right hand can get too far on top. Right hand can get too underneath. So what can happen here is when we get too on top, as we swing through, the arm will have to rotate more square up. And the bad thing about this is that when we rotate the arm, it actually straightens up too early. That's kind of a big no-no in the golf swing. If we understand where impact is, the impact position with the right hand, the palm will be facing towards the target, the elbow will be bent, and you almost have a relationship between the forearm and the palm right through there, which will be nice and square. And that creates kind of a hitting motion right there. Okay? And that leads us to the set. As we turn back with the right, we want to set the right wrist back. So you'll hear some instructions say, set it back upon itself. That creates a very strong club face. Other golf instruction might say straight up, or maybe at a diagonal. I like a little bit of a diagonal because I like that right wrist to set back. So as we come on back, right wrist sets back, that also gets the club on plane, but that right wrist really creates a lot of throw and a lot of speed. And it's almost as we come in, the palm of that right hand squares up the face. Now, a common fault that we'll see is when the grip gets too strong, we'll see the elbow turn out when the right hand's turned under a little bit too much. So when that relationship comes in, the club will flip shut. So it'll come out, the shoulder will pull up, and then that right hand will never really rotate or rehinge. It'll kind of just come up square this way. So if you have a little bit of a diagonal, it releases. When it rotates, it'll actually pull the club more up on plane on the follow through. And then that'll get the hands in front of us. You'll hear that term, swing the club in front of you, quite a bit, which is more like through your sternum, and then matching on the follow through, back through your sternum, which creates the club being in front of your chest as you're swinging back and forth. So now that leads us, when we have good right hand function, good left hand function in the grip, now we can put the two together. When the two work together and we set the wrist properly, it really forms a nice L formation, which is kind of an athletic position right here, and that it really kind of gives us a sturdy position with the arms. We don't want the grip to be palmy and break down with the arms. So this is where we see a lot of narrowness and a lot of arm bend. So when the hands work together now, we can come into impact. The right hand will be in a throw position, leading with the elbow, forearm matches together, and it matches with our left hand. So I feel like our palms will almost set and rotate and rehinge together, and they fold together. Whereas as we swing through, when they're working together, then the arms will hold width in between each other more consistently, which will help the hips and the shoulders turn more favorably. The common fault that we'll see is when both grip mismatch, they say one's strong, one's weak, it creates this cradle. Now our shoulders are moving a little bit independently, and that'll start to affect the body motion later on. So a lot of times if you can't get the grip right, we'll get a player to get their body motion right, change the grip, and then all of a sudden the grip makes sense. Players struggle with how out of control the grip feels. That grip, when it's more in the fingers, feels like you can't stop the hinge and the rehinge, which creates speed, which we need the speed, but a lot of times we want to try to control the club, which actually slows down the club and makes the club release inconsistently. That leads us to the last part of a great grip, is grip pressure. One of the common faults that happens to a player, and what we're looking for, is we want the hands to feel like they have the same pressure through that, but we'll feel the club work back against the hands or the fingers a little bit. So when it works back against the fingers, we have to keep turning to create a drag or a lag through the shot. Many people will squeeze right down at the bottom because they have the idea of striking something, or they're learning something from another sport or another activity. So as soon as you squeeze, that club will then want to go, and he'll go and release out of control. So a really important factor is keep the grip pressure on a scale of 1 to 10 about a 5, and no squeezing at any time during the golf swing. Let's hope this helps your grip and helps your distance and accuracy.